So we have here John Weier, aka Bahama John, and
Hello.
we have to explain us knowing one another.
Yeah.
You sent me a Facebook friend request last week, and you announced I have this thing you should call in. It's been a long time, and it has been a long time. I took a drive to Utah, wherein I decided to listen to Mr. Spookhouse's Pink House, which is an album that you worked on with your band, The Dead Bodies.
This is correct, yes.
I listened to it again on the way back because you listen once, it's one thing. You listen again, you get to revisit the ideas and see again what you thought of them. And while I was driving the first time, I was just thinking, there's a long, we really grew up, we came from the same area, there is a certain connection, and I just realized how close of a parallel. I think we're pretty close in age. You're a class of '01?
That's right, 37 years old.
Okay, you're class of '01, 37. I'm class of '03, 35. And we came from virtually the same exact area, probably within a few miles of one another.
I think probably within 2 square miles or
We're
something.
we're gonna find out. And we're both musicians, artists.
So, check this out. This is bizarre, and I want to just a quick A-side, but there was a ton of Shelby guys that came out that did some pretty prolific stuff. Like the band The Hard Lessons, they were a couple class grades older than us, but they ended up touring the world. That was Augie Versace and Christoph. And I'll never pronounce his last name because I don't understand it. But he ended up being the character Ike the Spike on the new Twin Peaks. And he was a Shelby kid. I don't know, there's a lot of, you know what, here. Inject a city with a fuck ton of money and have idle children.
Let's get
I
right
think they're
into
going to
that.
explore the arts.
You had mentioned you'll
You
never
know?
be able to reconcile all the talent and all the interesting stuff that came from there. Let's actually go through them. It doesn't have to be an exhaustive list, but we got the kid who made MySpace the movie. His name's David something. He was from Washington Township, a couple miles northwest of where we were. He went on to move out here and do a bunch of shit.
Oh, I'm familiar with the Washington Township trailer parks from Pizza Delivery.
Rudgate, sure.
Rudgate Estates, baby.
We had you and Adam Cox with the Dead Bodies, also having a dope recording studio we'll talk about in a minute.
There was a band called Right on Wagner that had a guy named Mike McKitty in it. And I recorded them, and Mike McKitty ended up being an LA guy, and he starred in this zombie buddy comedy called Deadheads that I actually did some production work on for. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's Shelby. It's 6 square miles. Just a bunch of rich kids living in the fucking farmland with nothing else to fucking do.
There's a good visual artist too. I believe his name is Matt Busch. You know who that is?
This sounds familiar,
Matt
man.
Busch was a guy who taught at Macomb, but he was like commissioned by Pamela Anderson and all these stars. Like he was a legit artist in his own right. Greg DeLiso comes from 22 and Van Dyke, who I made Hectic Knife with, and he's a
you know what?
filmmaker.
Noah Eichhoff grew up at 22 and Shaner, and he plays bass in Wasabi Dream with Adam Cox and Jason Sternad, who grew up at like 18 and Van Dyke or John R. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was, man. It was just like indie rock in the burbs. I think it was just being so fucking bored of Shelby growing up there the whole time that like you just kind of want to go do drugs and drive to Detroit and hang out at the Magic Stick and start a band. And when you finally saw like a place like Hamtramck, you were like, oh, this is what I want to be doing. You know, you see people that look like you and me hanging out. You're like, I only saw this in Rocky Horror before, man. I didn't know people actually did this shit, you know.
Right on. Let's talk about our knowing one another, my understanding of you, your understanding of me, or lack thereof on either end. And I called my sister today and said, what do you remember about John Weier? Because she was in your class as well. Do you remember her at all?
Yeah, no, I had a big crush on your sister in 5th grade.
Okay. I remember you from elementary school. There were certain kids who I knew, and you were one of them. I believe you went to Mallow, right?
I went to Mallow, and I think I probably gave you some NBA Jam cheat codes back then.
Is that real?
Because I was the guy that had the NBA Jam cheat codes in fifth
Okay.
grade. So if you were in third grade, you were probably looking for me, being like, how do I get Al Gore in the mix?
So you went to Eisenhower. We both went to Ike.
Yeah.
Eisenhower sucks my penis.
Here's the thing where I try to. Let me just throw. Thank you. Let me throw this out there, man. I only have two. I have like a frighteningly good memory. Okay, for detail. It's nearly photographic. It's disturbing.
I used to as well. Yeah. Don't sweat it. I remember when I had one and it was alarming to people. So I get it.
So, but there's two spots that I don't remember well, and one of them was when I was a kid musician. I was typically playing with a lot of older musicians, and there was one kid who was always trying to get me to go to 7-Eleven. It was anyhow, I don't know how this kid disappeared. I just remember he was obsessed with trying to get me to go to 7-Eleven. I never wanted to go. My mom was like very cautious about this guy, as she was with all like older men that I would play music with. I don't know how.
I mean, how old were you?
About
Out of curiosity.
12 or 13.
Oh, okay. So you were getting into it early. Okay.
Well, music, yeah. So anyhow, I don't know what happened with that, but my point is, there's one other memory that I really don't is lost, and it's the red acid, man. Which again, I remember probably like yourself. There's a lot of acid that I remember in such tremendous detail. That red acid, and let's just for the sake of this recording, whoever's going to watch this, as I remember it, I was walking down the street. You guys were driving by. I was about 15, maybe 16. I think 15 because I was still on bike.
You were on the street, Knightsbridge.
Knightsbridge.
In Shelby Town.
Okay.
Yes.
I remember being.
I remember
Royal Forest Drive,
exactly
like,
because
you might
we
be right.
saw you riding your bike by.
And we were at the end of our wits with this acid. And like literally I have a tattoo of a red square, and so does Adam. This shit fucked us up forever, man. And I don't have a lot of memory of taking this particular acid through that summer. But we definitely just, I don't know if you yelled at us or we yelled at you, but we definitely sold you like 15 hits of acid or something for like $25 or something. Like it was a good deal. We just needed to get rid of it.
Right. And the memory of that is just, it's gone. I have no memory of it, which is, again, extremely odd to me.
You know, it's funny. That seems to be a residual effect of taking the red square acid. Because I don't have any memories of my time using it, really. But I got a scholarship to an art school based on things I created while I was on it. So at least I have musical recordings reflecting my usage of the red squares. And in fact, there is an album called Red Square Sessions that me and Adam did. But I literally don't remember anything else. Like we were smoking an ounce a week, probably, maybe every week and a half.
Right on.
But dude, it was just like we would do acid every other day or every 3 days, whatever it took the tolerance to go down, and just do it again. Like it took me until I could afford beer to like be a normal person again.
Well, as much as I'm I'm not so fond of the idea when people are like, "Oh, if you were really fucked up, you must have taken a lot of drugs." You know the sentiment, you've heard it, of course. I don't.
Of course, yeah.
And they're always like, "Oh,
I don't like that either.
This music artist must have taken a lot of drugs." And then in the end, you find out like the really successful people, sure, they might have had a period, but at the end of the day, they often are not completely drug addled at all times. And there are exceptions, but
No.
I do
No,
like
not at
your
all.
suggestion. I like your suggestion that red acid did impact my psyche and your psyche in indelible, unchangeable ways that we're not even aware of.
I mean, look we're sharing a very similar color palette.
That's true. That is true.
We're doing very similar things, albeit of a bit of a different genre, but I mean it still lives in the world of the absurd and the gross. Mine's a little bit cuter than yours. I know, I went through your YouTube channel. I saw the Put Your Guns in the Air or whatever song what's the title of it?
Guns up.
Guns up.
Guns Up.
Great production.
Thanks, man.
I loved it. You know, it's just
Fun one.
It's just a little bit darker than me, but it lives in the same. It's just like a more body horror version of David Lynch.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. I like it.
I like it though. It's frenetic. It's frantic. It reminds me of old school late night MTV or like old school Adult Swim.
So I remember, I don't know what significance this has, but you guys drove me to school at least 2 or 3 times, you and Adam Cox. And I remember.
See, all right, that's a blip in my memory.
Well, here's a good
I don't
memory: is
remember
you
that at
guys were
all.
smoking weed, and I was like, "Do you guys like opium?" And you were like, "Do you have some?" And I was like, "Yes." And I had just gotten this entire like block of
shit.
opium, and we smoked
Was it-
opium and weed before school.
So I remember smoking opium, and I had no recollection of who I got that from.
I don't know that I actually
Well,
gave you guys any, but
we-
I busted it out on the way to school.
Was it the red one or was it
No,
the
it was
tar?
the real opium, man. Not Red Rock
Okay, yeah,
opium
the
is,
shit that
like,
tastes like
incest.
flowers.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah.
that was the one and only time I bought an actual like brick of opium. It was fucking amazing, man.
Dude, that shit was great. And me and Adam, we must have bought it from you. Like, I don't know where else we would have got this from. But
Let's take a moment to take that in. Shelby Township, suburban Michigan. You guys, we were going to school. You played the Smiths for me for the first time, and you bought opium, tar opium, from a 15-year-old kid on the way to school. That's what was going on in Shelby Township.
yeah.
That's pretty unique.
Yeah, yeah.
Man. I remember very clearly sitting in your guys' car, and I knew that you were into the Smiths. I didn't know what it was, and the ending of Sheila Take a Bow was playing, and I was like, "Guys, what is this?" And you were like, "It's the Smiths." And I didn't really it didn't catch on with me. And then one day, for some reason, on whatever fucking TV station was on at my parents', I saw the Top of the Pops performance of Sheila Take a Bow, and I was like, "All right, man, I'm in."
There's something to those early live performances where you understand why, when you're in high school, your 40-year-old female art teacher was all about the Smiths. This guy's got like a rose between his teeth. He's got 13 more of them in his butt-tight pockets, and he's like flailing, and he's, "I'm asexual tonight."
Adam Cox is your best friend / psycho not drug partner / musical accomplice. Is that right?
Yeah. Since we were like 13 or 14, more or less, we've been in bands together. We haven't been in bands in like a decade, but I still talk to him a lot, and we still critique each other's work, and we're still good buddies and stuff. We talk daily, you know.
Are there Dead Bodies recordings out there other than Mr. Spook House? Because I know on Spotify, Spook House was all I found.
Currently, that's the only one that's on Spotify, but we've actually been working together because I think Adam found a couple old hard drives, and I found some old hard drives, and we've been writing music together since the Dead Bodies started in 2000. So we did that through 2010, and there's about maybe like 200 unique songs written and recorded over the course of 8 albums. So we've been trying to get that together and aggregate it and figure out all the metadata and how to classify all that stuff. Yeah, our brains are so fucked. I can't remember what song belongs to what album, and it's like, I know we're working on it. So hopefully we're gonna be able to release that all that music in the next like year, maybe. I know. So there'll be like fucking 4 hours of Dead Bodies content available, hopefully within a year.
So, Mr. Spook House, I have some questions, man. Who's
Oh,
singing?
yeah, go on.
That's you singing on Mr. Spook House?
Yeah, I think I sang everything on that album. Yeah.
Who's doing like most of the keyboards?
Keyboards, like the stuff that's good, that sounds like someone actually knows how to play a piano, is Adam.
Okay.
And then all the stuff that sounds extremely stupid, that sounds like, that's also Adam. I play the stuff that's in between, that is like, anyone can play it, but it sounds cool.
Okay. And who's doing drums? That's Nick?
No, Adam's the drummer. Yeah, you know, we're all multi instrumental people, but Adam was always the recorded drummer. Nick wasn't actually a part of that album because that album, albeit released in 2007, was recorded in 2003.
Okay.
While me and Adam had just turned 21 and we're just starting to learn that we can go buy a lot of beer and get wasted all the time and go to bars. So it's pretty loose psychologically. But it was just me and Adam on that one. And then like maybe like my girlfriend at the time would be like crying on like a minivan couch seat in the studio because me and Adam are fist fighting each other over a synth patch for 5 seconds of audio.
There's a lot of cool stuff where something comes in for just a second and then it's gone. I just imagine the track count. When you listen to it, it feels like a concept album. Was it intended to be one? And what is the concept?
It actually was. It wasn't storyboarded out per se, but it was in our brains. Like we decided, like, all right, so all the songs were written linearly. So, all right, and here's another thing: the goddamn record label that put it out, which was friends of ours from East Lansing, it was quite scientific. Originally, the record was just 8 songs, right? It was, well, we can't just put out an 8-song record. We have to put out a full-length record. And so we tacked all these songs on the back end of the CD that aren't part of that concept. So really, tracks 1 through like the glam song.
Is it a glam song?
Yeah, that's the one. That's where the album ends.
It feels that way, and I'm not knocking it.
But
I was 100% conscious.
No, I know. So we had to write those transitions to fill space. And worst yet is whoever fucking did the lacquers or however the fuck you print CDs, they took it upon themselves to fuck with my masters, man. Do you know how long a fucking 25-year-old works on their masters?
Right.
Way longer than you should. But we cared a lot about it, man. And these guys fucked my shit up.
But they just made some like EQ changes?
Yeah, I was like, no, I got the printed CDs in the box.
Right.
The ones that are for sale at Best Buy, where your mom's going to go buy it. And I put it in my car. And I was just fucking crushed, man.
I had a similar thing happen with Bob Ebeling one time, man. Ebeling mixed my two. You know Ebeling?
Yeah, is it? Ebeling's not around anymore.
Yeah, he is. They're both alive. I mean.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bob Ebeling mixed my 2010 record. In retrospect, he did a really good job, and it's fine what happened. But at the time, it was a pretty good deal. I mean, I think I paid him $3,000 to do it, and he basically was like, "Notes are over with. Tell me what you want for your final notes tonight," and that was it. And I was so fucking angry, man. And yeah, that was a bad scene, so I can relate to that, man.
There's a lot of learning who to trust and who to bother with, especially, I don't know, the older I get, the less emotionally attached I am to the stuff I output, the less I care about it, like sonically or, you know. I feel like getting older, I'm getting better musicianship wise, but like sonically, it's just like, dude, I'd just rather kick it out. I'm not gonna fuck around with a mix for 25 hours, you know. It's either there or it's not. Try harder at the engineering.
Right. Were you aware of Bob Ebeling and like Ebeling Hughes, Transfigured Night, Little Bugs Glow, and stuff like that?
Yes, I know Transfigured Night. And I remember Bob Ebeling having some connection to Music Box.
Right.
Off of Van Dyke.
Sure.
And Chuck Hughes played piano on one of our tunes about a decade ago. And it was really, really good work.
Let me tell you, my take on Spook House, man, and we'll get into the reason for this in a second, is I never really explored your guys' music. I listened to Spook House, man, and again, I listened to it once, and my actual, first of all, I'm thinking concept album, and I'm like, you know, what are the big, great concept albums according to me? Software Slump by Grandaddy, Fantastic Planet by Failure. I will include Transfigured Night and Little Bugs Glow by Ebeling Hughes. And obviously there's more Dark Side of the Moon. But as I'm listening to it, I'm just like, it's good, man. And it's uniquely good. Like from start to what we're calling the finish, which is, what's the name of the song?
It's called In Heaven We All Are.
Okay, which is great. And by the way, you sound like Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy on that song. And the guitars are like Thin Lizzy'd out.
I love Thin Lizzy guitar tones. That there's just like a very specific era of 70s production of really dry drums and really tight, dry, almost, it's not quite guitar into the board, but it's pretty goddamn close, like mega close mic'd.
Dude, it's
And,
so good, man.
That and Bowie's Pinups
Okay.
is an excellent example of that guitar tone and drum tone.
Pinups,
Yeah,
I
it's-
never explored. My mom always had a copy of that, and she had a copy of Bête Noir, the Brian Ferry album, in her car, and also Fine Young Cannibals. Like, that was what she introduced me to. Pinups,
Pinups was the best version of all of those songs.
okay. I
It's
rejected it.
It's a
man.
cover album. It's a cover album.
Right, I know. I rejected that. I rejected Never Let Me Down. Yeah, Never Let Me Down. Just because one was a cover album and the other one Bowie fans hated. But we'll come back. I love both of them now, especially Never Let Me Down.
I will say, it does feel sacrilege to say that Pinups is probably my favorite Bowie album because I love Bowie's my favorite, tied with Beatles. But
well, who turns you guys on to Trashcan Sinatras, which you guys were always talking, or at least Adam was always talking about?
This is a weird one. So this was Adam's older brother's friend Jeff. When we were 16, he wanted to start a band with me and Adam. Our first show was in Pontiac at Griff's Grill, playing in a band with Jeff Main, and he worked at Harmony House in Rochester Hills. He was like, dude, he was like 21 and we were like 16. He was like, you guys got to hear this band, man.
Were you big into Blur?
Which was like, I wasn't big into Blur. I liked 13. And in fact, I remember Jeff showing us that 13 when that came out. That was like a big sonic masterpiece, and that's how I got into like was it like William Orbit did that record or something?
Could be. I wasn't aware of it, but
it was cool. It was ratty as fuck. Like I like Bugman. That song to me is like, all right, here. That's what I like in my music production. Is I like shit that just goes fucking all the way. Like season my steak with fucking Montreal. Like sprinkle it on hard. And Bugman to me off Blur's 13 just fucking rips tits. It's just like white noise guitars.
But it sounds good, man. Were you guys big into Stereolab?
Yeah, and I also wanted to let you know that Mr. Spookhouse is pretty much just a blatant ripoff of Sound Dust.
I don't know that one. I'm like a Margarine Eclipse kind of guy.
Okay,
Or
Margarine
tomato
Eclipse
ketchup.
came out after Sound Dust because between Sound Dust and Margarine Eclipse is when the poor girl got hit by a car on her bike.
Oh.
But Emperor Tomato Ketchup, yes, that's a fucking fantastic record. There's so much going on. Like so much, and that's why I like Aphex Twin, like drum programming.
Did you listen to his newest album, man?
No, which one? I heard the
called
one
Cyro.
that came out maybe like I did, and that came out a bit ago. But I thought it was good, and I thought it was the first Aphex Twin record you can listen to with your friends, where it wasn't that off-putting. Like if you're having people over for a cocktail party, you could maybe slide that one in.
The last time we saw one another, let me just test you. Do you remember when it was or where it was?
No, I have no idea at all. And I can't imagine you weren't a teenager.
You're wrong, and you're in for a treat because I remember it vividly, although I don't remember. Okay, here's what it is, okay?
Was it at the Painted Lady?
No. It had to be around 2006, I'm guessing.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm going to have to assume I reached out to you on Facebook or MySpace because for some reason we communicated on phones and you were like, I think what happened was I wanted to give you my CD I was peddling, Gypsy Kiss, around 2006, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And
okay. No, I remember Gypsy Kiss, yes. This was MySpace.
okay, you told me, oh yeah, I had a Razor, or Crazer is what I had. You were like, meet me at this bar at 24 and Van Dyke and we'll hang. And so I met you at, you know what bar I'm talking about? McClella something?
It's McClenaghan's, the Green Door. And let me tell you, that is a white women's true crime drama central. If you ever need stories, if you ever need a 12-episode podcast about terrible things that happen in Shelby Township, just interview the people that used to hang out there.
Really?
Dude, that place is fucked. It's the old owner died and it's been cleaned up a little bit, but some of the old regulars still hang out there, and there are stories to be had that are sordid. Man, I wanted to find the underbelly of Shelby Township when I turned 21. When I started meeting some of these people. And that was the first time that I realized that we were in fucking what would be Trump country. When you started getting called a queer for having hair longer than your ears. And you're trying to be like this young white boy hanging out with all these fucking grease-ass motherfuckers in these like redneck bars, dude. They wanted to start shit, man, and they wanted to think they were in a biker gang, and they thought they were tough and shit, and they had nicknames they gave themselves like Booger. Fuck those guys, man. But you know what? We just fucking ramrodded our way in there, and we would just hang out despite getting fucking heckled and hassled.
You told me to meet you at McClenaghan's. So I meet you there. I go in. You're there. I believe I give you a copy of the Gypsy Kiss CD. And we're talking, and I'm like, hey, did you hear Ebeling's new CD? It's called Downtown. Flood and Alan Mulder worked on it. And you say to me, well, shit, dude, they produced two of my favorite things. Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness and Loveless are like my two favorite albums of all time. This is a photographic memory.
I would say that, yeah.
So you said that, and there was a blonde lady working behind the bar that was a babe, and she was like getting pissed at you for having me there because I was clearly not 21 at the time.
Well, that was Kim.
And so we ended up having to leave. You no memory of this, so you don't remember it.
I don't remember it, but I can tell you based on the context you're providing all of the other details. Because if you say a blonde babe, I know exactly which one that was, who bartended there. If you say you gave me a Gypsy Kiss CD, that jogs my memory because I probably didn't listen to it. Maybe we did. I'm sorry to be honest.
No, dude, this is all about honesty.
We were such fucking douchebags back then. We were like riding so high and like, yeah, I got a CD in Best Buy or like, you know, it's
like
just,
Factory
dude,
81 with Nanu. Hit Nanu.
The scene back then used to be so fucking douchey, man.
Were you aware of Factory 81? Were you aware of Charm Farm?
I was aware of Charm Farm from their single that was released in the 90s that was played on 89X, which was Everyone's Beautiful or Everyone's a Superstar.
Yeah.
And then Eric Hogemeyer also. All right, there we go. Another fucking Shelby Township guy. He was in Charm Farm. My English teacher, Mrs. Garden, at Mallow Junior High, wrote the lyrics for some Charm Farm stuff.
So what about Factory 81? Did you know of Factory 81? The Deftones ripoff band with Nanu was their big hit?
No. Man, that sounds so familiar.
Here's the thing.
I must have had teenage friends.
That band was big enough, and I bring them up because they were the ones that also had a CD in Best Buy, which I don't think people realize what a big deal that was at the time.
That was like the dream come true. That was like, we made it.
I used to buy
my
a ton
mom
of
can
music
go buy
then,
my
man.
CD and then put it in the mantle.
Yeah, man. Factory 81, this is just context for you. They were big enough in Michigan to where my dad he's like, how about Factory 81? Are they still around? And I'm just like, like if you go watch Factory 81's music video Nanu, that was their big song in Michigan.
I will.
It's like,
honestly.
It's just so interesting. They were the big band. And there were a million Deftones ripoff bands like them. I played with them like Fringe and, the Weier Frog bands. I'm going to read something that you said, and I want you to speak on it a little bit, okay? The Smashing Pumpkins are better as a collective aesthetic than they are as viewed as a rock group.
All right, so listen, I grew up on the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy particularly, and then I got into, Siamese Dream and Gish. Then I got into Pisces, which is fucking sweet as a fucking concept of we're famous as fuck, but we're just going to do some like weirdo 16-track recordings, and they're going to be mixed weird like...
Some of their best songs, La Dolly
Yeah.
Vita.
Absolutely. 100% agree. But it sounds like Last Splash by the Breeders. It's more hi-fi, but you know what I mean? It's just like, it's a massive record that just sounds fucking weird. Like, at your peak, you're going to put out not a Butch Vig thing, but you're going to put out whatever you recorded at Pumpkinland, which is just your basement in Chicago. But, all right, here's what I mean to say. Oh, yeah, and then, of course, you get Airplane Flies High. And then you get the DVD that has all.
Sorry, a lot of people's
Was that-
introduction to songs like "You're All I've Got Tonight," they had never heard that because that might have been a Cars hit, but it wasn't.
That's
a known
how I
song.
heard about that.
They don't know
song.
about Jeff Beck's. I'm sorry, not Jeff Beck's. Alice Cooper's "Flush the Fashion" featuring Clones, "We All Are," which they do that great, beautiful remake of. That was my introduction to all those songs. Do you like some of the spin-off? Like, do you like Jimmy Chamberlain Complex, the album?
I haven't heard any solo Jimmy Chamberlain, but I can attest that Jimmy Iha album, Let It Come Down, is certifiably whack.
Yeah. Hey, I never listened to that one. I think I played like back when Amazon was like play samples of the song. It didn't do anything for me. I was like, I'm going to buy a Cupcakes album instead. But I got to say, the Jimmy Chamberlain Complex, the first song on there is brilliant. It's like a good...
Really?
It's like Alan Holdsworth, kind of like prog rocky jazzy stuff. Not full jazz. And then,
Is he the writer? Is he the writer on all this stuff?
I don't know. And then from there, the whole thing is downhill. But it has a good song with Billy Corgan on. I believe it's called Low-Key Cat. It has a song with Rob, with the singer from the Catherine Wheel.
Sure.
It's not horrible, man. And by the way, so that's another music thing. But I'm not going to ask about Catherine Wheel then. So before we get back to Pumpkins,
I don't want to get into Catherine Will either. I tried it.
I don't have a conversation in me about Catherine Will.
Wait, it sounds like you do. What does that mean? They just didn't work for you?
No. It was just that dismissive. I was just like, okay. I'd rather listen to the Frogs.
Okay.
Are you a Smashing Pumpkins fan? It sounds like you at least know about them or interested enough in them.
I bet I could sum it up very quickly for you. Love Gish, always have. Love Siamese Dream. Don't listen. Probably don't want to listen to the whole thing anymore. But there's tracks in there that are some of my favorite things, especially as a kid. Listening to Rocket as a guitar player is great. Melancholy impacted me for a long time, and I love it. There's still like, let's just say Jelly Belly, Lily My One and Only, We Only Come Out at Night, Porcelain.
Jelly Belly all right. Those are some of my favorite aesthetic pieces.
And Ruby, of course. So those songs, it's like, as a double disc thing, I'm just not listening to it like that anymore. So I still regard it as an amazing work, and I still like it. From there, that's the fucking...
I used to regard that as a production Bible. It's like, if you needed any ideas for a song, like, pretty much all of your fucking bases are covered. And a bit more succinctly than listening to the Beatles catalog. I'm glad you say Jelly Belly, because to me, that is one of the most cathartic, like, I don't know, it's just like a chromatic drum solo thing that leads up to a, yeah! And then, like, the fucking guitar just fucking rips. Dude, like, I've literally based mixes around that. Like, like the concept of that song. And that's, you know what? That's a bad sounding mix. If you listen to that on monitors, it's not good. It's not.
Well, I certainly
It's
had
not
a
Fucking Cherub Rock. It's the drums are all fucking mushy and fucked up. But it doesn't matter because to me the writing carries the song.
I don't regard that as a bad mix, though. I think there was a function in mixing it the way they did, and that's why it has the impact it does. By Starlight, I think, is like one of the most beautiful songs of all time, and also one of few really great uses of a minor 5-chord in a song. Sorry to get technical. It's just a fucking beautiful song, man.
It's a nice song. And actually, it's funny that Billy Corgan can actually deliver something that someone couldn't consider beautiful. Do you remember all of the kind of like collage imagery that they included in their Melancholy phase?
Dude,
like, they always just had such...
I had the triple vinyl with the big fold-outs. Fuck yes.
Fuck yeah, dude. So it was all like, it was twee, but it was also slightly fantasy. And
slightly
it was
creepy.
Also kind of like medieval or cherubic, kind of post-impressionist painting stuff. Like the videos too for like Zero, you have all these like Victorian looking dressed models who are also slightly grotesque. But there's beauty in it. But the thing I like best about Billy Corgan is even just his power chord writing. You know, he can make something sound so sick. Like, all right, airplane flies high, turns left, looks right. That is just such a dark and fucking heavy riff, and there's nothing to it. Like, it should have been written 40 years ago, but it wasn't. But he can just turn something so dark, but then he has all this just porcelain, cherubic imagery surrounding all of it, and it's all very delicate and lilacs and porcelain. Yeah, I think that's what makes the Smashing Pumpkins better than just being a sweet fucking rock band, which they can stand on their own as being a cool ass rock band, but like the universe, I think this is the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. The universe that Billy Corgan built is bigger than them just fucking shredding, okay?
That's fair, man. Dude,
And I also think that Billy Corgan is lame.
the best Smashing Pumpkin song that's not a Smashing Pumpkin song to me is Jesus by Zwan. You know that one?
No, not my name, but I did get that album on the day it fucking came out because it was right around my birthday.
Did the Smashing Pumpkins end for you? Or do you like Adore? Did you like all the other stuff? And by the way, let me just put out there, Daphne Darkness I thought was okay. Don't like Adore. Don't like Oceana. I've never even listened to Zeitgeist. I haven't listened to this other new one.
I was done at Melancholy. I was into some of the electronic stuff they were doing for the Batman or the Batman and Robin movie, I believe it was.
Oh, are we talking about I?
I thought I was a good production.
From, Lost Highway, maybe.
Because I really liked Love on Melancholy, and I liked when they were getting into some of the heavier industrial drum programming stuff. But I liked I a lot, but I listened to Ava Dore once maybe, and it was like, this is not what
Did
I'm
you listen
into.
to
And
Zeitgeist?
I even passed up an opportunity to see him on tour because I knew with that lineup and that set of instruments, they're not going to fucking play anything I'm going to enjoy. So I wanted, right, like I said, I like the concept of everything that Pumpkins do, but when I see them live, I just want to see them fucking shred. Machina, that one, I thought the lead single was interesting. Everything else was just, I hated the engineering, I hated the guitar tones.
There's one song that stands out.
Sounds.
Stands out. I believe it's called Dead Something Blue Sky. Dead Something Blue Sky.
Zeitgeist looked like a fucking KMFDM album artwork.
KMFDM is
I was already disinterested.
Did you ever listen to Truly? Truly is a band that's fronted by Robert Roth. They had the former bass player of Soundgarden, and I believe a former Screaming Trees drummer. But there's one record they have called Fast Stories from Kid Coma that if you haven't heard, I have to pass that your way. And he has a solo record that I think you're probably going to really like. And his solo record's called Someone Somewhere. I could send them both to you after. I just wondered if you knew.
Cool. No, I think I don't think we fell far from the same tree, if that's not the lamest metaphor ever.
How sheltered were you in Shelby Township? And let me preface this by saying I was sheltered to the extent that I wasn't allowed to watch The Lion King because it was New Age. I wasn't allowed to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon, because it was too violent. What kind of sheltering did you have, and where did you grow up exactly, by the way?
I was at 24 and Shaner. Well, my mom... So I was inversely sheltered to the amount of sheltering my mother attempted. I tried to watch as much fucked up shit as I possibly could. I was Do you remember Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater?
Oh, I know what it is. I don't remember it from watching it. I certainly wasn't allowed to.
You know what it is, though?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is a guy that was not... He was like a cousin of Trauma. But I wasn't familiar with Trauma at the time. But he would have embraced Trauma films, right? So he would play Night of the whatevers. I don't know. Great, just like titty gore, right? Titty gore movies. So I grew up on that when I was 10 years old, 13 years old. And you'd have the remote set to last channel. So you'd have it set to David Letterman. But you'd be watching titty gore. And then as soon as you heard Mom walking up, you'd flip it over to Letterman. I tried renting A Clockwork Orange when I was 14 from Blockbuster, and they were like, "Well, we've got to call because you're not 18." And my dad picked up from the landline and just fucking cussed me the fuck out, more so than I've ever been in my life, about renting pornography. And I was like, Rocky Horror was fine. Like, what's wrong with that?
I have to ask, were you into trading cards? Do you remember there being the trading card store at 24 in Van Dyke?
Yeah, First and 10.
That was what it was called? Okay.
It was called First and 10 after the football thing.
Amazing that it's just, Funco Land, video, all these independent, well, Funco Land was a chain, but just weird to see how much stuff
Funco Land was pretty, it was funny because it might have been a chain, but it was regional based on who participated in Funco Land, right? Because it was before the internet, so you didn't have guys being able to even find the phone number for the Sterling Heights Funco Land from like Westland.
How much were video games, bicycles, trading cards, and television a part of your childhood?
Those are pretty much all of it. Also, I would like to shout out to Dirt Hills and the Woods.
Oh, okay, sure. You mean the concepts. I thought you were talking about a person. Jesus Christ, Dirt Hills in the Woods, man. I mean...
Yeah, no, like if you lived in like a new construction neighborhood and they had to dig out basements, you were like 8 or 9, you had 25-foot dirt hills you could hang out on, which felt very big.
I was one of the first 5 or 6 houses in that sub, and the whole thing was dirt hills and woods. By the way, my first interaction with that family was me and my dad were driving by, and Chad, is that correct? That's the oldest brother?
You betcha.
You betcha.
So Chad was had a really good skate ramp. Like, it wasn't a half pipe, but it was like a pretty advanced looking skate ramp.
Yeah, no, it was tight, dude. It was like a quarter pipe, yeah.
Yeah, and me and my dad had to drive up, and I had to be like, "How'd you do it?" And he gave us the plans to do it. I never did it, of course, but I was super impressed.
Do you remember John Bradley or Mike Seidel?
Knew them both very well. Had a recent interaction with Bradley on Facebook because they live out here now, him and Cheryl. And Mike Seidel, I knew through Kent Kohler.
Do you remember when we all stole that fucking wood from John's Lumber and built a fucking half pipe off Smiley Drive?
I have seen the half pipe. I didn't know it was stolen. I've been on the half pipe.
There was a fucking bucket brigade of dudes lined up at like 2 a.m, and it was just like passing lumber all the way from John's Lumber to Smiley Drive.
Were you friends with or aware of Kevin Lang, Tony Farrow, the kid Blake they hung out with? Do you know those guys?
Yeah, Death Rules.
Yes.
So, all right, the first band I was ever in was with Kevin Lang. And we were called Confusion, and we were in 5th grade. And we made a bunch of over-the-shoulder camcorder music videos of ourselves. And me and Adam Cox and Christina Mahalski had a band that played the Mallow Junior High 7th.
Did you ever overdose on drugs or alcohol or anything?
Yeah, dude. I had alcohol poisoning, and then one time I took, what are the peach Klonopins? It was like 6 milligrams. I took like 6 of those once. My girlfriend, I was like 19, and I took a ton of these because they weren't working, obviously. And she was visiting me in Seattle from Shelby. And I was on this couch, my friend's couch, for 3 days, intermittently just waking up, taking my pants off, and proclaiming that I needed to shower. And then on the 3rd day, I rose, and we went to the KFC next door.
So when we grew up in Shelby Township, this is actually a relatively affluent area. Were you aware of that growing up? Did you know that basically everybody was like richer than most of the country?
No, I had no idea, honestly.
When did you become aware of it?
In my mid-20s.
Where do you listen to music at, man?
Almost exclusively Spotify, unless I can't find it, then it's gonna likely be YouTube.
I bring up Kevin Lang and Tony Farrow and Blake because I would go and play music with him and Tony Farrow. This is a central thing I want to say though. Why did we never interact in a musical way? As a kid, I always looked up to you and Adam, right? You guys epitomized something for me that was like, these guys are so cool. They're good musicians. And now in retrospect, hearing Mr. Spookhouse's Pink House, I hear how tremendously talented you guys were at such a young age. So as a kid, I always wanted to be part of that. Why did we never really connect? Was it just age? Was it that I was 2 grades younger? And let me throw this out there too. What happened because of that? And I don't give a fuck about it now. Obviously we're here. I'm saying your record's great. I didn't allow myself to appreciate your guys' music because I was so envious of it for basically up until like the other day when I put it on and we chatted. And I knew of it. I would look on MySpace. I saw the picture of you guys in New York with the guy with the sign behind you that said hell is coming or the end days are coming. And I was like, these guys, I was so envious of you.
I was painfully introspected after doing all of that Red Square Acid and all the acid the year before that with Mike Seidel and Johnny Bradley and those guys. I got terribly depressed, and one of the only guys I could really work with was Adam. I always just felt throughout my life trying to establish creative mediums, like if it was making paintings or records or trying to get CDs burned when everything was recorded to like a zip disk. Everyone always fucking let me down. Or maybe I was just so insular where I found someone that I trusted that didn't fuck everything up all the time. I just found a trusted writing partner or something. And I was like, you know what? We've got enough between us. We don't need anyone else. And also, I think we thought your shit was goofy. We knew like some juggalos and shit. And I think we maybe chalked your shit up to like juggalo shit. But in retrospect, that was just dumbass hipster gatekeeping bullshit because everything I liked at that time was like the Rocky Horror Picture Show and like fucking whacked out movies and like pretty much trauma shit, which is exactly where you were anyways. No, I'm actually just reflecting on this for the first time now. We used to fucking hate on shit that we ultimately liked in its fundamental aesthetic. You know? We're talking earnestly now, but look at us. Look, I think this is a good metaphor. Like, I could never call myself queer because I'm a fucking straight white guy that likes fucking chicks. But, like, it just feels okay to be the biggest fucking weirdo you can. It feels like literally 2020, you can do anything you want. As long as it isn't hate speech and it doesn't hurt anyone.
Ozzy.
What's it? I've listened to like the first couple of Sabbath records just for like the engineering.
How about Sloan, Our Lady Peace, Rush, Tragically Hip, Treble Charger, all Canadian bands, of course.
Massive Sloan fan. Our Lady Peace, I tried listening to it out of curiosity maybe a year ago. Wasn't into it. Not really down with Tragically Hip.
Did you get into Rush or no?
Oh, Rush. Yeah. 7th grade, man. One of my most trusted confidants told me that most of early REM is very good. Ugh. I was like, I don't know if I can believe you. But then again, I'm an XTC guy, which is female repellent.
I know Oranges and whatever, and then I know the
Oranges and Lemons is
way out there.
I like the Black Sea album.
This is a pretty Black Sea rocks.
This one is halfway in between rocking and like just really cool acoustic tones, engineered by Hugh Padgham, who is famously behind the Phil Collins drum solo in The Hair Tonight. One of my favorite records, and it is not as obnoxious as Andy Partridge usually is. Sorry, Andy Partridge, that's the best review I can give you, pal.
You get into Wilco?
We grew up on Wilco, man, because fucking Chatty Cox had AM. So yeah, no, I've been down with Wilco since like the get go at like 1996.
I've always liked Handshake Drugs off of Ghost is Born, and that's about the only thing I really knew from them. And I gotta say, dude, I just experienced being there on this Utah trip. Fucking blown
Oh,
away,
dude.
dude. It's unbelievable. Particularly Sunken Treasure is like one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Dude, that record is expertly engineered too. It sounds perfect.
It's hard to believe that's 96,
the
man.
The writing matches the sentiment of the lyrics perfectly. It's a balls out. That's all right. That's your second record. You're putting out a fucking double fucking CD.
I used to have AM, Ghost is Born, and Summer Teeth. I've never even listened to Yankee Foxtrot, believe it or not. But I put on...
It's not my favorite. Summer Teeth is my favorite.
I put on AM because I was like, all right, I'm going all the way back. And I don't know if they remastered it or if that's just the way that record sounded, but it was so bright on Spotify, I couldn't even really enjoy it.
It's very, very bright, and it sounds goofy because it's like 1993.
How did you react to Sublime in 311?
That was about the first time I realized that chicks I was into were going to be listening to music that I was not.
Their music, none of it worked for you.
I mean, okay, to be honest, I suppose. I thought at age 14, the song Down by 311, I thought that guitar intro tone was interesting.
That's fair.
But I couldn't get into white boy rap on top of like third rate flea funk. I don't know. I couldn't get down with it, man.
It doesn't surprise me to hear that the guy who was listening to Trashcan Sinatras at age like 16 was not a big Sublime and 311 fan. Do you like Radiohead?
Yeah, I love Radiohead.
I was listening to
earnestly, I think like Amnesia and Kid A are really good and important records. I have complicated feelings about Radiohead. Listen, I remember hearing OK Computer when it came out, being like 14, and being like, I haven't literally heard anything that sounds like this before. I thought my cousin's speakers were broken. When I was in college, when Kid A came out, I was, we were so like acid depressed and stuff. Like, that album just made sense to me. And it didn't sound like anything else, but it sounded like where we were also going. That album is like a very fancy home recording. There's not a whole lot going on that you couldn't achieve not being in a very expensive studio. The concept of just being alienating in just even your chord structures and your progressions. I loved that so much. It was such a novel concept back then.
There's certain records where like Kid A or like Beck's Sea Change. Well, Beck's Sea Change is a bad example because I knew like two people who liked it. When meanwhile it was ruining.
I thought that was a very beautiful record because I was really into Air, and I know Air was very into Serge Gainsbourg, and then Air was working with Beck on 10,000 Hertz.
Sure, Vagabond.
I thought that was a perfect dovetail from that era of Beck.
I'm introverted enough to where I never meet people. I work from home. I rarely get to interact with people, okay? And I'm not joking. I have very few friends. I've lived here for almost a year and a half. I have like a very small group of friends. I'm almost never in a situation where we can say, oh yeah, but XTC's Black Sea, oh, Thin Lizzy's Bad Reputation, the 10,000 Hertz Legend by Air where they had Beck on there, oh, Kid A. That's so rare for me, man. And that's not to say that everybody's a piece of shit. It's so rare for me to meet people who have some kind of modicum of like encyclopedic knowledge of fucking music. And I just want to tell you, it's great I knew this was going to happen. I knew we could go there, and it means a lot to me. I really like.
It means a lot to me, Peter, that we can. It means even more that we can have this conversation dressed like this.
Yes. On the heels of that, man, I am aware that the millennials, that record for them, and I didn't even name what the record was for us because I'm not sure what it was. I guess if I spent 20 seconds, I could think of like what was the big influential record for junior high or high school that everybody owned and everybody listened to. I don't care to right now. I don't even care. But for millennials, I don't know if you're aware of this, that album is Green Day's American Idiot.
It was such fucking low-hanging fruit. What a bunch of fucking losers.
Well, I'll say this, man. I was like, I want to listen to American.
It's great production, but it's also all right. So sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm gonna say Weezer's Green album with Rick Ocasek producing that shit fucked the sound of power pop. I don't know. It fucked it up, and like American Idiot sounds fucking exactly like. I don't know. I hate it. No solos, no feeling.
Yeah, I knew the
No
Blue
problem.
album and I liked it as a kid. I never understood the legendary allure of Pinkerton, to be honest. I never connected with it.
Nope. It's actually pretty problematic if you listen to it. If you want to have a girlfriend these days, if that's something you're into.
I just want to say with American Idiot, I was like ready. I was like, I know people my age even who are like really into it. And I was like, all right, man. White Stripes didn't work for me and I didn't get it. But I guess
I didn't get it either.
I guess I understand it, and sure, you put on one or two songs, and it's like, all right, fine. So I put on American Idiot.
My girlfriends liked it.
I put on American Idiot. I was ready for it, and you press play, and track one is American Idiot, and it's like, all right, man, fine. This one's okay, and I was ready for it to be to hear the masterpiece that it's supposed to be, and I had to turn it off after two more tracks, man. It was just so
Broadway. Now a successful Broadway musical.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that what you wanted your heroes to be? Green Day, Longview is the first song I ever taped off the radio onto a tape. And yeah, no, that was we went to go see the movie Angus together just because there was a brand new Green Day song debuting.
Dude, I've never
we
been
were
a big
fucking
Green Day
mega
guy,
nerds, dude.
but look, the good songs off of Dookie, the good songs off of Nimrod, and
It's good, right? There's good writing, and also the videos are nostalgic. When's the last time you appreciated "Jagged Little Pill" by Alanis Morissette?
extremely
I'm just
often.
curious.
I listen to the songs that I like off it probably in a year, probably 12 to 15 times.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar.
I'm very
Dude,
familiar with
I
her catalog, by the way, her whole catalog.
I hadn't heard that since Christina Mahalski broke the CD in my parents' driveway when we were 14. I listened to it last year, and I was incredibly surprised by how fucking 90s those drum loops were. Like, and I know they recorded it to Super VHS. You know,
I didn't know that.
It was it's an ADAT record. So it's three chain machines for 24 tracks and probably one track for time code. Yeah, Super VHS, straight to the Grammys.
Roxette.
What about Roxette?
Did you ever listen to them? Were you aware of?
No, I don't know anything about Roxette.
You weren't aware of like Joyride or She's Got the Look growing up?
I know She's Got the Look, but I only know it from like fucking Barbie commercials or something.
Joyride was one of the most influential songs of all time on me, man. It like completely informed a lot of my like musical aesthetic and everything.
Roxette, Joyride.
It's a great song. I mean, it's basically like a She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult or a Shine by Collective Soul. Collective Soul, man.
I've thought about them lately because when I was out on the west side of the state for a lot of the last 2 years, just, on vacation, somehow Collective Soul blended in with like classic rock on these like west side stations that only play like Judas Priest and like Slow Ride and shit. But Shine somehow fits in with that, where it's classic rock. Same with like Alice in Chains stuff. I think that song sucks, actually.
Shine?
I think it's a good song. I think maybe the engineering fucked it up. It should sound more like a band. It sounds like they quantized the guitars, dude.
Dude, the recording, yeah. I mean,
And then also like the end, like if you're gonna go Freebird on it, it's got to be a little bit looser. You know what song gives me the spirit that Shine wishes it could? Is Sick of Myself. That song conveys the amount of joy. Growing up, it always seems so easy to write bummer ass songs and like heavy songs and like doom shit. Well, like I've always been, as I get older, more interested in how you can convey joy in a song. You hear a song like "I'm gonna have a good night tonight," Queen or whatever. Don't stop me now. Like just unbridled joy. To me, that seems like more of a challenge than it is to just write like gross ass dumb shit. That I'm sure you and I are both excellent at.
I imagine so. Well, I got to tell you, I've always liked Shine Man. That was, for me as a kid, it was one of my favorite songs. It was like this magical thing. I was really disappointed when I finally saw the music video, because in my mind, that it was like this great epic thing, and the video sucks. But now looking back, I still listen to it from time to time. It's not like She Sells Sanctuary. It's not like Joyride by Roxette, because those are songs that I still like will crank the fuck up and want to listen to. Shine, not so much. But yeah, the recording's terrible. It's probably early digital gone bad, right? But that record, I just want to sum it up quickly. That record, they recorded that in whatever shit home studio, poorly, very poorly. I mean, again, you already know how bad it sounds. I don't have to impress that upon you. And it became a radio hit in an era when you could just send it in, they'd play it on the radio, and everybody fucking heard it. Everybody was calling in. They get signed to Atlantic Records, and Collective Soul is like, all right, we got to re-record the record, though. And Atlantic was like, no, we're good. Like, it's good just like that. We're gonna put it.
Really?
Yeah. How about I'm Too Sexy? Too Sexy by Right Said Fred.
Oh, I think that's a good track.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's a true, like, I'm embarrassed to play it too loud when I'm driving around, but it's a work of brilliance that continues to weirdly introduce new elements of itself to me, and I'm always impressed by them. What about U2?
Well, U2? No, I can't do U2, man. Like, I was just in that pocket of age where Bono was just fucking shoved up my ass. Sorry.
Did you shove up your ass?
It's good. I get it. The stuff's fine.
Okay.
I love any way a producer wants to fucking shape U2 to be a cool band or whatever. I'll never be able to do it. And that is one of my irrational opinions.
Okay.
I'll never be able to get into U2. Except for the song Discotheque.
Okay. What about even Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me? They're Batman Forever.
Yes! No, that is the literal only other exception.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding.
It's a work of brilliance,
I'm not even... That song fucking rules, dude.
I listen to it all the time. I love playing on guitar.
Dude, if fuck... That was one of the first songs I learned on guitar as well. When that shit came out. Because that was like... Dude, movie theaters were prime. That's what you did when you were 14 and you were dating fucking a hot Japanese chick.
Did you ever read the lyrics to it?
No.
It's one of these songs where it's entirely different from what I thought he was saying, which happens with Typo Negative a lot, but it's really interesting, man.
Dude, that is such a weird fucking B-roll piece of knowledge that dude, but that song ruled. And listen, if U2 sounded like that song predominantly, I would be into U2.
I've felt about Pearl Jam largely how you feel about U2, and I've crossed over to the other side. However,
did you?
I never remained there. And what I would mean is that there's probably 7 or 8 Pearl Jam songs that I think are really great, and then the rest of it, I'm just baffled that there is as much of it as there is, and that it's as heralded by that many people as it is. U2, however, is entirely different for me.
I kind of get U2. Significantly more than Pearl Jam. But Adam's older brother and Augie, they were like Pearl Jam heads that were like fucking deadheads, dude. It was like a touring follow band. It was terrible.
But dude, U2, I mean, I always, we grew up hearing With or Without You and One and Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses.
Or Mysterious Ways. That song fucking rules.
Amazing.
Like
sure.
that's a nothing else sounds like that song.
Seal.
Hey, all right, yeah. All right, no, I have a very specific Seal story because I only knew about Seal because of that fucking Batman movie. And then I saw the album art of his second album, which was him like looking like some slithering fucking panther. Like it was just like musculature porn. And I was like, I love this, like from a photographic and like product design standpoint, I guess. And I got it for Christmas, and my dad was like, he's not gonna like this. He just likes the picture. And I hated the album. But it's a great fucking picture. But that fucking music fucking sucked to me. It was the... And you know what? I tried because CDs were so expensive. You would like sit around and try to enjoy an album. Maybe you can learn to like it. I could never learn to like that Seal album.
All right. What about Beck? You had some things to say about Beck Hansen.
Oh yeah. I grew up on Beck. Loser. You know what? A funny thing about Beck was back when we were just starting to be musician people and we thought we knew what we were talking about. When we heard that sample, which is very clearly a Rhodes on Where It's At.
Oh, Where It's At, okay.
No, where it's like we were just like we couldn't figure it out. We were because we had like synthesizers and like different like stupid pianos that made those sounds. We could play the notes. We just couldn't figure out if it was like an organ or a guitar, and we were just so stupid.
What about, I mean, I bet you liked Mutations. Did you like Midnight Vultures?
Midnight Vultures. All right, so Mutations I got into after Midnight Vultures, but Midnight Vultures was like like me and Mike Seidel and John Bradley and that whole like crew. That was like that whole summer. The summer that album came out.
I gotta tell you, man, as you say that, I'm so envious that you had cool friends, man. Because I absolutely didn't. Man.
It just like the stars aligned. Like we're not cool people at all. Like we were just dorks, dude. Just
no, but I'm telling you, I'm not saying be grateful.
Those guys were cool.
I'm not saying be grateful because who cares? But I had a group of friends that was just the most generic kids. And then they stopped being friends with me because I moved out of the subdivision. And then I had like one or two friends who I could really connect with after that. I'm really envious that you had a group of people who would listen to Midnight Vultures, man. I had like one friend, you know.
Yeah, that was like a whole party summer. Dude.
I know that whole crew. Jay, John Bradley, Mike Seidel, Chris Irvin was kind of in there. Kent was in there. Steve.
Yeah, dude.